The stars glittered like tiny diamonds against the vast darkness of space. Among them, a sleek silver ship moved quietly toward the blue-green planet. The vessel belonged to the Galactic Coalition, an alliance of over 300 alien species who had learned to live together in peace for thousands of years. On the ship's bridge, Elder Counselor Vexnar studied the planet with 6 eyes that blinked at different times. Earth, the home of humans, the most feared species the Coalition had ever discovered. "Are you certain about this mission?" asked his assistant Milo, a small green being with thin arms and large ears. "The warnings are very clear. We must check on them. It has been 50 years since our last visit," Vexnar said. His voice was calm but firm. "The beacons need maintenance." The ship slowed as it approached the warning beacons that orbited Earth. There were thousands of them, each broadcasting the same message in over 500 languages. "Danger. Sleeping humans. Do not disturb." Vexnar remembered the day, 300 years ago, when the Coalition first discovered Earth. They had been excited to find a new intelligent species, but that excitement quickly turned to fear when they studied human history. Humans were different from other species. They fought wars among themselves. They destroyed their own environments. They pushed themselves to extreme limits. And they never, ever gave up. Just as the Coalition prepared to make first contact, something unexpected happened. The humans put themselves to sleep, all of them, in special chambers deep underground, protected by amazing technology. The entire human race went into hibernation. They left only automatic systems running and a single message from their last awake leader. The ship's computer played that message now. A tired-looking man with gray hair appeared on the screen. He wore a white coat and had kind eyes. "My name is Dr. Alan Mitchell. I am the last awake supervisor of Earth's hibernation program. If you are seeing this, you have found our world while we sleep. We have entered hibernation to allow our planet to heal from the damage we caused. We will sleep for approximately 1,000 years. He paused and rubbed his eyes. "We know our history makes us seem dangerous. You're not wrong to be cautious, so I leave you with this warning. Let us rest. For everyone's safety, do not wake the humans." The message ended. Vexnar had seen it many times, but it still sent a chill through his body. "Begin the maintenance routine," he ordered. "Check all beacons and replace any that are failing." The crew worked quickly and quietly. Through their scanners, they could detect the massive underground facilities where billions of humans slept. The chambers were still functioning perfectly, drawing power from deep Earth energy sources. "Elder, I found something strange," called one of the technicians. "There's a small ship on the far side of the planet. It's not one of ours." Vexnar moved quickly to the scanner. The ship was hiding in Earth's shadow, but it was definitely there. It was small, built for speed, with markings of the Vordax hegemony. The Vordax were new to the Coalition. They had joined only 20 years ago, a warrior race that had finally grown tired of being isolated. They were still learning the rules of cooperation. "Open a communication channel," Vexnar ordered. After several attempts, the Vordax ship responded. Its captain appeared on screen, tall and covered in red scales, with a sharp ridge on his head. "Captain Cruzat," Vexnar said calmly, "your ship is in a restricted area. These beacons mark a quarantine zone." "We were merely curious, Elder," Cruzat replied with a smile that showed too many teeth. "We did not cross the beacon boundary." "See that you don't. The warnings about this planet are not exaggerated. Return to your assigned space lane immediately." Cruzat bowed his head slightly. "Of course, Elder. We are leaving now." The communication ended. Vexnar watched as the Vordax ship moved away, but something didn't feel right. The Vordax were too curious, too ambitious. They hadn't joined the Coalition for peace. They had joined for access to new technologies and knowledge. "Mark that ship in our records," Vexnar told his crew, "and double-check all beacons near where they were hiding. I don't trust them." As their own ship prepared to leave Earth orbit, Vexnar looked once more at the sleeping planet. The humans had been wise enough to recognize their own dangerous nature. He hoped the rest of the galaxy was wise enough to let them sleep. 6 months after the inspection of Earth's warning beacons, Ambassador Zixtal of the Vordax Hegemony sat in his private chambers on the Coalition Central Station. The room was hot and dimly lit, just as he preferred. On the large screen before him played videos and images of humans from the Coalition archives. Humans fighting wars. Humans climbing mountains. Humans diving into deep oceans. Humans flying to their moon with primitive technology. Humans enduring pain that would kill most species. Humans surviving conditions that should be impossible to live through. Zixtal couldn't look away. His red scales shimmered in the light from the screen as he leaned forward, his yellow eyes wide with fascination. Such perfect weapons they would make, he whispered to himself. The door chimed, and Zixtal quickly changed the screen to show trade reports. "Enter," he called. Gary Wilson walked in. He was one of the few non-Vordax that Zixtal could tolerate. Wilson was old for a Coalition member, with pale blue skin that had turned almost white with age. He had dedicated his entire 200-year life to studying human history and was considered the Coalition's foremost expert on Earth. "Ambassador, you wanted to see me?" Wilson asked, his voice scratchy with age. "Yes, Professor. Please sit." Zixtal gestured to a chair. "I have been studying the reports on Earth and have some questions." Wilson sat down carefully. "I'm happy to help, but I must remind you that information about humans is restricted." Zixtal waved a clawed hand dismissively. Yes, but we are part of the Coalition now. Surely such restrictions don't apply to allies." "They apply to everyone," Wilson said firmly. "The warning about humans isn't just politics. It's for safety, theirs and ours." Zixtal leaned forward. "But why? They've been asleep for centuries. What makes them so dangerous that we can't even study them properly?" Wilson sighed. He had answered these questions many times before. "Humans are uniquely adaptable," he explained. "Most species evolve to fit their environment. Humans change their environment to fit them. When faced with a problem, they don't give up. They become obsessed with solving it." "That sounds admirable," Zixtal said. "It is, but it's also terrifying. They were still primitive when they nearly destroyed their own planet multiple times. They built weapons that could wipe out all life. They fought wars over ideas." Wilson shook his head. "And they're physically remarkable. They can keep going after injuries that would stop most species. They can survive extreme temperatures, go without water for days, heal from terrible wounds." "Perfect soldiers," Zixtal whispered, forgetting himself. Wilson's eyes narrowed. "That kind of thinking is exactly why access to Earth is restricted, Ambassador. Humans aren't weapons or tools. They're people. Complex, inventive, stubborn people who don't like being controlled." Zixtal composed himself. "Of course, Professor. I meant no disrespect. I'm merely curious from a scientific perspective." Wilson didn't look convinced. "Let me be clear, Ambassador. The decision to leave humans in hibernation wasn't made because the Coalition fears them. It was made out of respect. They chose to sleep to save their planet. We honor that choice. And what if someone did wake them?" Zixtal asked casually. "Just one or two, for research." Wilson stood up, his old frame suddenly stiff with alarm. "That would be the height of foolishness. Humans are intensely social and protective of their own kind. Waking even one would be seen as an attack on all of them." Dr. Mitchell's last message wasn't just advice, it was a warning. After Wilson left, Zixtal returned to the classified videos. He watched footage of human athletes performing incredible feats, of human soldiers enduring brutal training, of human explorers facing deadly environments with primitive equipment. He touched a hidden communicator on his desk. "Captain Krizat, what's your status?" The voice that replied was low and eager. "We're approaching Earth now, Ambassador. No Coalition ships detected in the area." "Good. Proceed with the extraction. Remember, only 3 specimens from different regions. The Coalition must not know until we've proven their value. And if there are complications? Krizat asked. Zixtal smiled, showing his sharp teeth. There won't be. They're just sleeping animals. What could go wrong? As he ended the communication, Zixtal failed to notice a small blinking light on his desk. The Coalition security system had flagged his repeated access to restricted human files, and it had just recorded his conversation with Krizat. The Vordax ship hovered silently above the North American continent. It had slipped past the warning beacons by copying their signal patterns, making the defense systems think it was just another beacon. Captain Krizat stood on the bridge, his scales gleaming under the red emergency lights they used to stay hidden. Scan complete, Captain, reported his science officer. We've located 3 hibernation facilities that are easy to access. One in what was once called Colorado, one in Ontario, and one in Oregon. Krizat nodded. Good. Send down the extraction teams. Remember the ambassador's orders, 1 specimen from each location. And be careful not to damage the hibernation equipment. We don't want to wake more than we take. 3 small pods detached from the main ship and descended through Earth's atmosphere. Each carried 5 Vordax soldiers and a medical officer. They landed quietly near their targets and began to dig. The hibernation facilities were buried deep, but the Vordax had brought powerful drilling equipment. Within hours, they had broken through the outer layers of each facility. They were amazed by what they found. Endless rows of sleeping humans, each in a clear pod filled with bluish liquid. The pods were connected to a central system that kept them alive and monitored their health. Everything was automated, running smoothly after 3 centuries of sleep. At the Colorado facility, the Vordax selected Lisa Blackwood. According to the facility records, she had been a marine biologist. Her pod showed she was in perfect health, age 34 when she entered hibernation. In Ontario, they chose Steve Carter, a mechanical engineer, age 41. And in Oregon, they found Diane Powell, whose records showed a background in military strategy, age 39. Carefully, they disconnected the 3 pods from the main systems and replaced them with dummy signals that would make the central computer think nothing had changed. Then they loaded the pods onto their small ships and returned to the main vessel. Back on the Vordax ship, the 3 humans were moved to a special laboratory. Krizat watched as his medical team prepared to wake them. Are the containment fields ready? He asked. Remember what Ambassador Zixtal said. They might be dangerous when first awakened. All security measures are in place, Captain, the chief medical officer assured him. We'll wake them one at a time, starting with the female biologist. They injected a clear liquid into Lisa's pod. The blue hibernation fluid began to drain away. Her vital signs, which had been slow and steady for centuries, began to increase. Her heart beat faster. Her brain activity spiked. Lisa Blackwood opened her eyes for the first time in 300 years. At first, she just blinked, confused. Then she saw the red-scaled aliens watching her through the clear walls of her containment cell. Her eyes widened, but she showed no fear, only surprise and intense focus. Remarkable control, the medical officer noted. Most species would panic. They activated a translation device, and Krizat spoke slowly. Human, you are safe. We have awakened you from hibernation for study. Cooperate, and you will not be harmed. Lisa looked around, taking in every detail of the lab. She noticed the other 2 pods where Steve and Diane were still waking up. When she finally spoke, her voice was hoarse from centuries of silence. Water, she said simply. They provided her with water through a slot in the containment field. She drank slowly, carefully. Then she asked, How long have I been asleep? Approximately 300 Earth years, Krizat told her. Lisa nodded, as if this was exactly what she had expected. And why have you woken me? Us? She glanced at the other pods. We are researchers, Krizat lied. We wish to learn about humans. Your species is unique in the galaxy. Lisa's face remained calm, but something flickered in her eyes. A quick, calculating look that Krizat missed entirely. "I understand," she said. "We'll help you learn about us." Over the next few days, the Vordaks woke Steve and Diane as well. All three humans appeared remarkably adaptable, quickly adjusting to their new reality. They answered questions, performed physical tests, and seemed to accept their situation. But when the aliens weren't watching, the humans exchanged glances, and late at night, when the lab was mostly empty, they whispered to each other through the barriers between their cells. The Vordaks thought they were studying the humans. They didn't realize the humans were studying them right back. Jack Summers frowned at his security console on the Coalition Central Station. Something wasn't right. The system had flagged unusual access to the human history archives, but when he investigated, he found more problems. Someone had accessed the location data for Earth's hibernation facilities, and the warning beacon network had reported brief signal disturbances 3 weeks ago. Jack was not a typical Coalition security officer. Most officers focused on trade disputes or smuggling, but Jack had chosen to specialize in monitoring protected worlds. Earth was the most protected of all. He tapped his communicator. "Commander Reeves, I need to speak with you. It's about Earth." 20 minutes later, Jack entered Olivia Reeves' office. She was a tall, serious officer with dark purple skin and silver-flecked hair that showed her age and experience. Her office was simple, with only a few personal items on her desk. "What have you found, Officer Summers?" she asked. Jack placed his datapad on her desk. "Someone has been accessing restricted information about humans. A lot of it. And there are unexplained signal patterns near Earth's warning beacons." Olivia studied the data. "Do you have any suspects?" "The access codes belong to Ambassador Zixtal of the Vordaks hegemony." Olivia's expression darkened. "The Vordaks. They've never fully accepted Coalition rules." She thought for a moment. "We'll need evidence before making accusations against an ambassador. Prepare a small scout ship. We'll check the beacons ourselves." Meanwhile, on the Vordaks research vessel, Lisa Blackwood sat cross-legged in her containment cell. For 2 weeks now, the aliens had been studying the humans. They conducted physical tests, took samples, and asked endless questions. The humans cooperated perfectly. Too perfectly, perhaps, but the Vordaks didn't notice. Lisa had been watching their patterns. Every night, the lab staff was reduced to just 2 guards and 1 medical officer. The containment fields were strong, but the control panel was visible from her cell. And she had noticed something important. When the medical officer brought their food, the field weakened for 2.3 seconds. Today, the Vordaks had finally allowed the 3 humans to eat together. They sat at a small table in the center of the lab, guards watching from every corner. "They're testing our social behavior," Diane whispered, smiling as if making friendly conversation. The former military strategist had been analyzing the ship's layout every time they were moved from their cells to the testing areas. Steve nodded. He had been studying the ship's technology during their tests. "The ship runs on a power system similar to what we were developing before hibernation. I understand most of it now." "Good," Lisa said quietly. "I've learned enough of their language to understand them when they think we can't. I know why they really woke us." She took a sip of water. "They want to use us as weapons against the Coalition. They think humans are perfect soldiers." "Ironic," Diane said with a small smile. "They chose a biologist, an engineer, and a military strategist. If they wanted weapons, they got them, just not the way they expected." The 3 humans had a plan. Steve had figured out how to disable the containment fields. Diane had mapped the path to the ship's communication center, and Lisa had learned enough about the ship's systems to send a message to Earth, or to whoever was protecting Earth. That night, as the lab quieted for the sleep cycle, Lisa called to the medical officer. "Excuse me, I'm feeling unwell." The Vordaks approached cautiously. "What is the problem?" "I think it's the food. It might not be compatible with human digestion," Lisa said, holding her stomach. "I need something for the pain." As the medical officer prepared to pass medicine through the small opening in the field, Lisa watched closely. The field flickered as it always did. But this time, Steve was ready. He had fashioned a small device from parts he had stolen during tests. He activated it just as the field flickered. The containment field didn't reactivate. The medical officer didn't notice at first. By the time he realized something was wrong, Diane had already moved. Her military training had kept her body strong despite centuries of sleep. She moved faster than the Vordax thought possible. In seconds, she had knocked the medical officer unconscious. The guards turned, reaching for their weapons, but Steve was already disabling the other containment fields. "We have 4 minutes before the system alerts the bridge," Lisa said, grabbing the medical officer's access card. "Let's move." The 3 humans rushed out of the lab, stepping into a corridor on an alien ship, ready to fight for their freedom. And for the billions of humans still sleeping peacefully on Earth. Captain Cruzat was enjoying his meal when the alarm sounded. Red lights flashed throughout his private dining room. He jumped to his feet, knocking his chair backward. "Bridge, report," he shouted into his communicator. "The humans have escaped containment," came the panicked reply. "They've disabled 2 guards and the medical officer." Cruzat cursed. How could this happen? The humans had seemed so docile, so cooperative. "Lock down all sections. Find them," he ordered. Meanwhile, Diane Powell led the way through the ship's corridors. Her military training had included memorizing maps, and she had created a mental model of the vessel during their daily trips to different testing rooms. "This way," she whispered, pointing left at a junction. "The communication center should be 2 levels up." Lisa and Steve followed closely. Steve carried a device he had taken from the lab, a tool the Vordax used for analyzing materials. He had modified it to disrupt their security systems. "The elevator ahead will take us up," Diane said, "but they'll expect us to use it." "I can access the maintenance shafts," Steve said, pointing to a panel in the wall. "They run between all levels. I noticed them on the technical diagrams they showed me during testing." Using the medical officer's access card, they opened the panel and climbed into a narrow shaft. The space was tight, filled with pipes and wiring. They climbed upward, hearing alarms and shouting Vordax voices below them. When they reached the right level, Steve carefully opened another panel. The hallway was empty, but they could hear Vordax soldiers searching nearby. "The communication center is at the end of this corridor," Diane whispered. "It will be guarded." Lisa nodded. "I have an idea." She had been studying the Vordax language and culture during their captivity. They're very hierarchical. They won't question a direct order from someone higher in rank. Using the medical officer's uniform jacket she had taken, Lisa tore off pieces of colored fabric. "These color markings indicate rank," she explained, creating small bands that they tied around their arms. "These will make us look like we have authority." With Diane in the lead, they walked confidently down the corridor. When they reached the communication center, 2 guards stood at attention. "Emergency protocol." Diane barked in the Vordax language, using phrases Lisa had taught her. "The specimens must send a message to prevent system failure." The guards hesitated, confused by the strange mix of authority markers and the fact that the specimens were walking freely. That moment of confusion was all Diane needed. She moved with shocking speed, disabling both guards before they could react. Steve rushed forward to access the door controls. Inside the communication center, 3 Vordax technicians turned in surprise. Before they could sound an alarm, Diane had subdued them too. "Steve, can you work this system?" Lisa asked. Steve studied the controls. "It's similar to our satellite systems, just more advanced. Give me a minute." While Steve worked, Lisa and Diane secured the door. Lisa found the ship's internal communication system. "I think I can use this to speak to the entire ship," she said. Just then, the main screen in the communication center lit up. Captain Cruzat's angry face appeared. "What do you think you're doing?" he hissed. "You are our specimens, our property." Lisa stepped forward, facing the camera. "That's where you're wrong, Captain. We are not anyone's property. And now you're going to listen to us. Krizat laughed. Listen to you. I have a ship full of soldiers. You have nowhere to go. Then you should be very interested in what we have to say. Lisa replied calmly. Steve, show him. Steve had accessed the ship's navigation system. He displayed their current position, in orbit around Earth, and then showed what would happen if he activated the ship's engines on a collision course with Earth's surface. One wrong move from your soldiers, Lisa said, and we crashed this ship into our planet. The impact would damage several hibernation facilities. Do you know what would happen then? Millions of humans would wake up, and they would not be happy. Krizat's scales paled. What do you want? First, Lisa said, you'll tell us the truth. Why did you wake us? What do you really want with humans? Krizat hesitated, then decided the truth might save his mission. We believe humans would make perfect warriors for the Vordax hegemony. Ambassador Zixtal wants to create a human fighting force loyal to us. Lisa, Steve, and Diane exchanged looks. Their worst fears were confirmed. The Vordax didn't just want to study them. They wanted to turn humans into weapons. Captain Krizat tried to stay calm as he spoke to the humans through the communication screen. His soldiers waited outside the locked door of the communication center, but he had ordered them not to attack. The humans' threat to crash the ship into Earth was too dangerous to ignore. Listen to me, Krizat said. You don't understand the galaxy you've woken up in. The coalition that watches your planet is weak. The Vordax hegemony can offer humans a place of power. Lisa shook her head. You don't understand humans, Captain. We don't want to be weapons. We put ourselves to sleep to heal our world, not to wake up and fight someone else's wars. While Lisa kept Krizat talking, Steve worked quickly at another console. He had found the ship's records and was learning everything he could about the current state of the galaxy. Diane watched the door and the ship's internal sensors, making sure they weren't about to be surprised. I found something, Steve whispered to Lisa. There's a coalition scout ship approaching. They must have detected the Vordax's illegal activity. Lisa nodded slightly but kept her focus on Krizat. Here's what's going to happen, Captain. You're going to return us to Earth, to our hibernation chambers. Then you're going to leave and never come back. Krizat's scales darkened with anger. You are in no position to make demands. Aren't we? Diane said, stepping into view. I've accessed your weapon systems. I can fire on my own planet if necessary. That would definitely wake up more humans. Krizat hissed in frustration. He hadn't expected these primitive humans to understand his ship's technology so quickly. At that moment, Steve noticed something on his screen. Lisa, Diane, he said urgently. The ship's sensors are detecting another vessel approaching fast. It's not Vordax. The main screen suddenly split, showing both Krizat and a new face, a purple-skinned female alien wearing what looked like a uniform. This is Commander Olivia Reeves of Coalition Security, the new figure announced. Vordax vessel, you are in restricted space. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Krizat turned pale. This is a scientific mission, he lied. We have permission to. Save it, Captain, Olivia interrupted. We know you violated the Earth Preservation Treaty. Her eyes widened when she noticed the humans. Are those humans? You woke them. They kidnapped us, Lisa explained quickly. Took us from our hibernation chambers against our will. Olivia's expression darkened with concern. This is a serious violation of coalition law. She looked directly at the humans. I am deeply sorry for what has happened to you. The coalition has honored your species' wish to remain in hibernation for centuries. Krizat suddenly shouted orders in the Vordax language. The ship lurched as its engines fired. He's trying to escape, Diane called out, grabbing onto a console for balance. Steve worked frantically at his terminal, unlocking down the engine controls, but he's overriding from the bridge. Outside the communication center door, they could hear the Vordax soldiers attempting to break in. The door wouldn't hold much longer. On the screen, Olivia was speaking urgently. We're pursuing, but his ship is faster. Humans, if you can slow him down. Working on it, Diane said. She had found the ship's internal systems and was shutting down sections one by one. The door to the communication center burst open. Vordak soldiers rushed in, weapons ready. The three humans stood their ground, prepared to fight if necessary. But before either side could make a move, Jack Summers' voice came over the communication system. Target locked, he announced from the Coalition ship. Firing disabling shot. The Vordak ship shuddered as the Coalition weapon hit its engines. Alarms blared throughout the vessel. Engine power at 30%. A Vordak's technician reported. We cannot outrun them now. Krizat roared in frustration, but he was a practical leader. With disabled engines and Coalition forces approaching, he had no choice. Stand down, he ordered his soldiers. Lower your weapons. The soldiers hesitated, then obeyed. Diane, Lisa, and Steve exchanged glances of cautious relief. A wise decision, Captain, Olivia said from the screen. Prepare to be boarded. The humans will be transferred to our ship. As the Vordak soldiers backed away, Lisa stepped forward. This isn't over, she told Krizat. You said Ambassador Zixtal ordered this mission. He's still out there, still planning to use humans as weapons. Don't worry, Olivia assured them. The ambassador will face justice for this. The Coalition takes the protection of Earth very seriously. Steve looked at the information still scrolling on his screen. Data about the galaxy they had woken up into. It was vast, complex, and dangerous. And now, they were awake in it, with no way to return to the sleep. The Coalition ship was much larger and cleaner than the Vordak's vessel. Lisa, Steve, and Diane sat in a comfortable meeting room with Commander Olivia Reeves and Security Officer Jack Summers. The humans had been given fresh clothes and food, and medical scans had confirmed they were in good health despite their ordeal. I still can't believe we're sitting here talking to aliens, Steve said, shaking his head. When we went to sleep, we barely had missions to Mars. Olivia smiled. The galaxy has many species. The Coalition formed about 100 years after your hibernation began. We maintain peace and cooperation among over 300 different civilizations. And you've been protecting Earth all this time? Lisa asked. Jack nodded. Earth is classified as a protected world. Your Dr. Mitchell's final message was treated with great respect. The decision to let humans sleep and heal your planet was honored by the Coalition. Until the Vordaks came along, Diane noted. Olivia's expression darkened. The Vordaks joined the Coalition only recently. They're still learning our ways. But this violation goes beyond simple misunderstanding. A screen on the wall activated, showing Captain Krizat in a holding cell. Coalition officers were questioning him. He's telling them everything, Jack said. The Vordaks respect strength, and they consider themselves defeated. Krizat has confirmed that Ambassador Zixtal ordered the mission to wake humans and study them as potential weapons. Diane leaned forward. So what happens now? Can you put us back into hibernation? Olivia and Jack exchanged concerned looks. I'm afraid it's not that simple, Olivia said gently. The hibernation technology your people developed is incredibly complex. We could return you to your pods, but reactivating the hibernation process properly would be difficult without human expertise. So we're stuck awake, Lisa said, understanding dawning on her face. For now, yes, Jack confirmed. But there's a more immediate problem. Ambassador Zixtal doesn't know his plan has failed. According to Krizat, the ambassador expected regular reports about the specimens. When those reports stop coming, he'll know something went wrong. Steve finished. Exactly, Olivia said. And we just received word that the ambassador's personal ship left Coalition Central Station shortly after we departed to investigate Earth's warning beacons. We believe he's heading for Vordak space with information about Earth's hibernation facilities. The humans exchanged alarmed glances. If he reaches the Vordak's homeworld with that information, Lisa began. They could send a larger force to kidnap more humans, Diane finished. Or worse, attack the hibernation facilities directly. Steve stood up, pacing the room. We need to stop him before he gets there. Jack brought up a star map on the screen. We're already in pursuit, but he has a head start. His ship is faster than ours, but we might be able to intercept him here, at the Ceres Nebula. It's a navigation hazard that all ships must slow down to pass through safely. Diane studied the map, her military training kicking in. What kind of weapons does your ship have? Standard Coalition defensive systems, Olivia explained. Designed to disable, not destroy. We're peacekeepers, not warriors. And Zixtal's ship? Lisa asked. Diplomatic vessels are usually lightly armed, but Vordak ships tend to bend those rules, Jack said. We should expect some resistance. The humans huddled together, speaking quietly among themselves for a moment. Then Lisa turned to the Coalition officers. We want to help, she said firmly. This is our fight too. Those are our people still sleeping on Earth. Olivia considered this. What do you suggest? Diane knows military strategy, Lisa explained. Steve understands both your technology and Vordak systems from his time on their ship. And I've learned enough about Vordak psychology to predict how Zixtal might react. We're humans, Steve added. We might see solutions you wouldn't consider. Jack looked skeptical, but Olivia nodded slowly. The Vordaks wanted humans as weapons because they recognize your adaptive thinking. Perhaps we can use that same ability to stop them. Commander, a voice called over the ship's communication system. We've entered the Ceres Nebula. Long-range sensors are detecting Ambassador Zixtal's ship ahead. Looks like we have our chance, Diane said, studying the tactical display that appeared on the screen. Let's show the Vordaks why they should have heeded the warning about waking humans. Olivia smiled. Welcome to the bridge, then. It's time to stop an ambassador from starting a war. The Ceres Nebula filled the view screen with swirling colors of purple and blue gas. The Coalition ship moved slowly through the cosmic clouds, sensors working at maximum power to track Ambassador Zixtal's vessel ahead. Lisa, Steve, and Diane stood on the bridge with Commander Olivia and Officer Jack. The Coalition crew had accepted the humans' help, impressed by their quick adaptation to the situation. His ship is just ahead, Jack reported. But there's a problem. The nebula is interfering with our weapons targeting. We can't get a clean lock to disable his engines. Diane studied the tactical display. What if we don't need to hit his engines? She asked. Steve, you said Vordak's ships have their communication arrays on the upper hull. Right. Steve nodded. Yes, they consider it the most important system, so they place it where it's easiest to repair. Commander, Diane said, if we target their communications instead of their engines, we could prevent Zixtal from sending any data to the Vordak's homeworld. Olivia looked impressed. That could work, but we'd need to get much closer for a precise shot through this nebula. I have an idea, Lisa said. She had been studying the nebula's properties. The gas affects your sensors, but what about sound? Do your ships use audio communication? We do have that capability, Jack confirmed, though it's rarely used. Open a channel to Zixtal's ship, Lisa suggested. I'll speak to him in the Vordak's language. Their culture values direct confrontation. If I challenge him properly, he might slow down or even turn to face us. Commander Olivia nodded. It's worth trying. Channel open. Lisa stepped forward and began speaking in the harsh, clicking language of the Vordaks. The Coalition crew looked surprised at her fluency. What is she saying? Olivia whispered to Steve. She's calling him a coward, Steve explained, saying that real Vordaks face their enemies, not run away. It's a serious insult in their culture. The plan worked. Zixtal's ship slowed and began to turn in the nebula. He's responding, Jack said. Audio only. Zixtal's angry voice filled the bridge. He spoke first in Vordaks, then switched to the common language. You think you can stop me? I have the secrets of human hibernation technology. The hegemony will reward me greatly for this knowledge. Target locked on his communication array. The weapons officer reported quietly. "Fire," Olivia ordered. The coalition ship's weapons fired a precise beam that struck Zixtal's vessel exactly where its communication systems were located. The bridge crew cheered. "Direct hit," Jack confirmed. "His communication systems are disabled. He can't transmit any data to the Vordak's homeworld." But the victory was short-lived. Zixtal's ship suddenly fired back, hitting the coalition vessel hard enough to shake the entire bridge. "He's making a run for it," Diane observed, watching the tactical display. "But look at his course. He's heading deeper into the nebula, not toward the exit." Steve studied the sensor readings. The nebula gets denser ahead. His shields won't hold at that speed. "He's desperate," Lisa said. "He knows if he returns to Vordak space without the human data or specimens, he'll lose everything." Commander Olivia opened a channel again. "Ambassador Zixtal, your ship cannot survive those conditions. Change course immediately." "Never," came the reply. "The humans will be ours. The secrets of their power will belong to the Vordaks." They watched in silence as Zixtal's ship pushed deeper into the nebula. The dense gases and energy discharges battered the vessel until its shields failed completely. The ship began breaking apart. "Can we save him?" Lisa asked. "Not at that distance, in those conditions," Jack said somberly. "He made his choice." The sensors recorded the final destruction of Zixtal's ship. With it went the data he had stolen about Earth's hibernation facilities. 2 weeks later, the 3 humans stood before the Coalition Council, a gathering of representatives from hundreds of worlds. They listened as Commander Olivia described the Vordak's plot and the humans' role in stopping it. In light of these events, the Council leader announced, "We have strengthened the protective measures around Earth. The remaining humans will continue their sleep undisturbed." "And what about us?" Diane asked. "We offer you a place among us," the Council leader said. "As representatives of humanity, when your people eventually awaken naturally, you can help them understand the galaxy they'll find." Lisa, Steve, and Diane looked at each other. They had lost their world. The Earth they knew was centuries in the past. But they had found a new purpose. Later, as a coalition ship placed new warning beacons around Earth, Lisa added a personal message to the automatic warning. It would broadcast alongside Dr. Mitchell's original words for centuries to come.